Hi, we're back again with more fat acceptance TikTok cringe. And today we're going to tackle the myth that is known as intuitive eating. Hi, I'm Lisa and welcome back to my Fat React series where we are going to be reacting to different aspects of health culture. This includes the fat acceptance community, the fitness community, as well as popular health and beauty trends. Now, before we get too far into this, can people successfully practice intuitive eating and maintain their health and also maintain a healthy weight? Absolutely. This is especially true for somebody who, say, is a healthy weight already and they are recovering from a restrictive ED. They don't have any hormonal issues, they maintain a pretty clean diet, they don't eat a lot of processed foods. Yeah, it can work. Now, does this apply to most obese people? Absolutely not. Now let me explain. There is only one way somebody becomes overweight, and that is by eating more calories than your body physically needs on a day-to-day basis. Of course, some people have medical conditions such as PCOS and hypothyroidism, and these diseases do contribute to weight gain. The hormonal imbalances can cause some initial fat gain even on a normal diet. But the big factor in excessive weight gain is that those diseases make you extremely hungry. So because of that hunger, you end up eating so much more than you actually need, as I just explained. And if you are significantly overweight, you probably have a damaged body to some extent from all that hormonal imbalance over a long period of time, or you've been eating a lot of processed food that's also damaged your body. And now your hunger cues are just like completely out of whack. Your hunger cues can very literally not be trusted. Now, does this mean you have to be hungry to lose weight? Absolutely not. This is something I have talked at length about on my channel because you can treat your hormones medically and by diet to some extent, and you can learn how to address those hunger cues. I myself have done so through the combination of medical treatment and by healthy eating. That is medically treating my PCOS and my hypothyroidism. So today we're going to be looking at a few TikToks that are actively encouraging intuitive eating and what exactly they're getting wrong and what they're getting right as well. Okay, we're going to start out with our first video here, and let's check it out.
Here's what to do if you just ate and you're hungry again. Hey, I'm Sarah. I'm an intuitive eating coach helping you build a better relationship with food, movement, and your body. Has this ever happened to you? You just ate and then like not even 30 minutes later, you're like, I'm getting hunger signals again. What the heck? Your brain is probably like, oh my God, you can't be hungry. You just ate. It's a fake signal. Just drink water and you'll be fine. So that is diet culture speaking up. But your body is sending you signals that it needs more. And that's okay. You didn't do anything wrong.
Okay, first I want to point out, somebody at her size, maybe it means that she needs more. Somebody at my size, that's not always the case. And she's blaming it on diet culture. I'm sorry, a lot of times I really am just thirsty. I don't know what to say. But also a lot of times it's like I've already eaten a lot and I'm still hungry. I had this experience when I was growing up. I ate so much. I would have like, I'm not even joking, double quarter pounders with cheese from McDonald's, and I would still be hungry because my hormones were so like horrendously unbalanced that I was just hungry all the time. Now, does that mean I get a third double quarter pounder with cheese? No, it means there was something wrong with me. And so I think this is completely ignoring the idea that you can't trust your hunger cues in these situations. Now, should you go hungry? Absolutely not. You need to figure out how to help yourself not be hungry. You need to figure out what is wrong with you medically that is causing this. It's probably a hormonal issue. It's probably eating processed foods that have harmful seed oils and soy in them. And like I said, not all soy is bad. I love my tofu. I love my soy sauce. But when it's in everything, like just look at the ingredients on processed food, it's like in everything. That's when you have to take a second look at what you're actually putting in your body. And also how your body might be responding to that. Because you could have all those calories and still be hungry.
And you're definitely not bad for being hungry again. The best thing you can do, sorry for pointing, is eat and move on with the rest of your day.
Like I said, that's probably some good advice for somebody who's probably her size and they're struggling with wanting to eat versus if they actually need to eat, but it's not helpful to somebody who's obese. Okay, so here's another video, and it starts with the video we just watched.
The best thing you can do, sorry for pointing, is eat and move on with the rest of your day.
Whenever the topic of intuitive eating comes up, so many people immediately respond with like, I wish I could do that, but I can't trust myself around food. I can't do intuitive eating. That's diet culture talking. That is all of the diet culture talk that has been shoved into our precious brain meat for years.
Okay, let's break this down a little bit. Is everything really diet culture? Really? What if they can't trust themselves around food because they have a binge eating disorder and they're really struggling with not eating everything that's in front of them? When people have binge EDs, they really do struggle to trust themselves around food. I have friends who have this binge ED and they talk about eating like 2 large pizzas and many bags of chips and boxes of candies, like all in one sitting. They can't stop eating. And that's clearly not a healthy relationship with food. And so if we're talking about the trust we have around food, maybe talk about getting treatment for those issues. Because if they're saying I can't trust myself around food, there's a whole other thing going there. It's not external diet culture. There's something internal going on.
Hunger cues are innate. That's natural. You are born with them. You can't trust something that's natural?
Yeah, so once again, I'm going back to hunger cues are innate if you have a healthy body. But if you're significantly overweight, you probably don't have natural hunger cues. You're probably much hungrier than you should be. So we got to fix that problem first.
The reality is, as someone that has been on an intuitive eating journey for 3 years and in ED recovery for 4, yeah, I did gain weight. It also stabilized and I stopped gaining weight and I just kind of stay at the same body size now. And that journey also included confronting the parts of my brain that constantly say weight gain is a failure and say, why? How can it possibly be a bad thing when all of your other health markers have either stayed the same or improved?
I really don't think it's a good sign that if she was practicing intuitive eating, she gained a lot of weight. It's sad these people are recovering from EDs, and maybe that helped her in a short term, but eventually we are going to have to reckon with being overweight, getting older, and how being overweight in an older body is going to affect your health. I would like to live for a long time, so I'm going to lose weight.
Including your mental health. Do you know how it clicked for me? When I finally asked myself if I want to spend my limited time on this spinning rock, being constantly concerned about my pant size and the calorie counts and things.
If I get to the point where I'm like at a really healthy weight, I probably will move on to intuitive eating, but not like, reacting to my hunger cues where like, well, it's like portion sizes, right? Well, I only need this much food. I'm used to eating this much food. That's probably fine. But even now, I'm not like constantly concerned with counting calories. Like there are some days where I just skip it and I still lose weight because I'm like, well, I had this much watermelon yesterday. I'll just have the same amount today. I know I had a hamburger exactly the same way yesterday. I'll have the same thing. So there are ways that you learn going forward that aren't intuitive eating. They're like, oh, this is the portion size that I know that I'm used to. I'm going to eat this. And I'm still at a calorie deficit. Okay, now we're back to Hannah Talks Bodies. Yep. Ugh.
It never fails that anytime I talk about my eating disorder or all the things I used to do to lose weight, at least one person will pop their head out of the ground just to say, you can lose weight in a healthy way. It doesn't need to be so extreme. And I don't know how else to explain that for me and for many, many other people, that is simply untrue. Because the second I start ignoring my body's cues, it's over. The instant my body tells me it is hungry and I choose either not to feed it or to underfeed it, which is what a calorie deficit is, it knows it's time for famine.
Okay. Once again, we're going to sympathize with her here, and her ED must be very hard for her. But it goes back to those hunger cues, right? So if she withholds a little bit of food and she's that hungry, the whole famine mode thing, that's unnatural. That is not a natural response. So I could see why you would then desperately want to eat everything afterwards because your body is not reacting the way that it should. There's clearly something wrong. It needs to be fixed. Now you could still this is why I recommend when people start a diet to not even try to lose weight. Don't even think about counting calories. Don't think about any of that. Just get yourself on track with eating healthy food. And my healthy is not the same as your healthy, okay? You have to eliminate the seed oils. You have to increase the saturated fat. You have to eliminate the soy, eliminate as much processed food as you possibly can. And then do that for months and months and months. Like 3 minimum. But if you're like significantly out of whack with those hunger cues, you might have to do it for like a whole year. I know my friend Alex did it for a whole year before he even decided to start restricting his calories. Because a lot of people who go through that are unable to restrict without being significantly hungry, like Hannah here. So what does that mean? Does that mean you don't lose weight or you don't eat at healthy proportions? No, it means that you have something wrong with your body and the way that it's reacting to hunger cues. Yeah.
It goes into scarcity mode. It thinks I don't have access to food, and as a result, my body turns on all the alarms to try to get me to eat as much as humanly possible so that I can survive this famine. And I want you to imagine what it's actually like to go through your day with your body screaming at you that it's starving, and you just have to pretend that that's not happening.
I know exactly what that is like. That's something I have talked about. You're so significantly hungry. How did I end those hunger cues? How did I get rid of it? I stopped eating processed foods. Okay? I mean, I still eat 2,000 calories a day. I'm still losing weight. You know, I'm not restricting to a severe amount, but not having those inflammatory causing things that make you hungry, like over time, it works. Part of the issue is the diet. Part of the issue is your health to begin with. Do you have a hormonal disorder? Is what you're eating causing a hormonal imbalance? I don't think she would have these problems and need to eat everything that was around her if she fixed these other issues first. And I'm saying that from experience. Yeah, my body's not her body, but you know what? We have similar sized bodies, I'm sure. And I went through the same exact thing as far as that whole scarcity mode, whatever you want to call it, starving, needing to eat a ton. And it wasn't because I restricted a little. I was just like that in general. So yeah, it's probably a little bit worse in that regard.
It's consuming all of your thought space and all of your energy, but you just have to pretend it's not real. There is no way to casually pursue weight loss when you're in that state. The behaviors have to be extreme because it's an extreme situation. So when people talk about how weight loss is not an option for them or weight loss is harmful for them, just believe them. Just take them at their word.
So yeah, the advice I would give Hannah, don't try to lose weight, okay? Do the diet that I talk about, or, I shouldn't like the word diet. Do the eating plan that I talk about where you can eat as much as you like. Just don't eat these couple of ingredients. Just don't eat those things. Measure how much inflammation you have in your body. See if it goes down over time. See how long it takes to go down. Do you feel a difference? Take out these certain things such as don't eat what we've been told to eat, like broccoli and spinach and kale and salad. No, those things block thyroid function. I know, it's crazy, right? And that's all things we're supposed to eat. Really eliminate the polyunsaturated fats. Don't eat the seed oils. Don't have the soy. In fact, maybe even play with the seafood, like the shellfish, have as much steak as you want. No one's stopping you. Butter everything up. You will feel better. You won't feel as hungry. And over time, you won't need to eat as much because the saturated fat is satiating. And you're less inflamed, so you're not as hungry. That is one option. Okay, I'll go on to the next video.
I don't know why I can't stop eating. What? I know I'm not hungry anymore, but I can't stop until I finish everything. Did you have a clear your plate rule when you were a kid? You can't get up the table until you finish everything that's on your plate rule. I'm actually full, so I'm gonna save this for later. Do you want anything else?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. So there are a lot of overweight people who have this issue where they eat because they're expected to eat. My family never had a clean your plate rule. In fact, I could clean multiple plates because, like I said, I was always just so hungry. And, there was nobody there to stop me. And, I don't think my mom knew what to do because, if your kid is really, that hungry, and she took me to the doctor. Our doctor said, do anything. Yeah, and I know a lot of people who were thin growing up, and they had a clear your plate rule. But, in general, it is good advice. If you're full, stop eating, save it for later. And if you're hungry, continue eating. But if you notice that you're eating a lot, you really need to question why you're that hungry. We can't just rely on intuitive eating here. And we're back with the lady from the first video.
Yes, you can, and we're gonna do it together. Look at all these Oreos. Let's pick some. So there's two parts to this. The first part is gonna be a series of journal questions that I'm gonna put right here. Screenshot them. And And the second part is going to be to get them and bring them home.
Okay, what are our questions? What do you believe about bad food? Who told you it is bad? When do you typically eat this food? How do you feel before and during and after eating? And what rules do you have for this food? Okay, but she is talking about Oreos here. And first of all, I don't think there's anything wrong with cookies. Cookies are delicious. Let's put that out there. You can totally eat cookies on my diet. And I'll explain why in a second.
So we're obviously going to get double stuffed. I thought they were going to have more flavors, but they don't. So get 2 double stuff or get double stuff in another flavor. Just get the ones that you're excited about. We made it home. Are you ready? Let's open it together. Look how beautiful they look. I want you to find a place that is quiet, that you can focus, so you can really be with your food.
Okay, first of all, I'm going to say I love Oreos. I could definitely eat a bunch of Oreos. I would always have a problem, I could never finish a container and they would go stale and I'd throw them away and then they get more Oreos. I always wish they would make like smaller packages of Oreos. Maybe they do just in America where I lived, Midwest. They never made like smaller packages of Oreos. That being said, I will probably, I don't want to say I'll never eat an Oreo again because like maybe you'll have like 1 or 2 eventually, like here or there. But I'm never going to regularly eat Oreos again or make them my primary cookie. And that's because of the ingredients in Oreos. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so we have unbleached enriched wheat flour, riboflavin, some kind of vitamin, sugar, palm and or canola oil, cocoa, processed with alkali, whatever, high fructose corn syrup, leavening, salt, soy, lecithin, I can't pronounce the word, Lecithin, lecithin, chocolate, artificial flavor, etc. You get what I mean. Some of the ingredients in here, we have complex glutens from the unbleached enriched flour. It's probably American flour, so more complex glutens. Not the worst thing in the world, but we could have better flour. I'm not going to fault you if you have that. Some people handle it better than others, but some people are really sensitive, so just keep that in mind. Then we have palm and or canola oil. Palm oil is fine. Very saturated fat type oil. Canola oil, on the other hand, no. No. Industrially processed at a very high temperature, used like industrial grade solvents to break it down and turn it into an oil. Very unstable polysaturated fats that break down in your body cause inflammation. Now, they always tell you, but the serving, like by serving size in moderation, they're just fine and can be even beneficial. But they're in everything. Remember that, they're in everything. And so you're not eating the proper serving size of these things, you're eating significantly more than serving size. Okay? So whenever you see a research study on it, just remember that you're not having the serving size used in the research study. High fructose corn syrup. I just prefer regular sugar. They have regular sugar in here. Why are they adding high fructose corn syrup as well? Soy lecithin, however you pronounce it. I have no idea. Yeah, soy and everything, as talked about. I think it's a binding agent in here. That's probably what it is. Yep. Let's continue with this video.
And we're gonna eat together. So let's take the first one. Pick the one that looks the best. Got it. And we're gonna take our first bite together, okay? So let's do it. Take a bite. Or twist, if you like to twist. What do you taste? The first bite is always the best no matter what you eat. What's the textures like? What's the chocolate like? What's the filling like? How does it feel in your body?
I'm kind of offended by the way she's eating Oreos. You really should have twisted it.
Is there any negative self-talk coming up? Let's go bite 2, yeah? Ready? Same questions. How do you feel? What kind of self-talk is going on there? Is there any guilt? Do you feel out of control? Be here. Taste this. It's delicious.
You know, I never had any negative feelings towards Oreos until such point when I realized it was contributing to my joint pain from inflammation. Then I had an issue with Oreos. But the whole bad food, good food thing, yeah, for sure. I was like, oh, Oreos are carbs. They're bad for me. And I eat another Oreo. You know, I was like, because they were delicious. But like I said, I never ate like a whole box of Oreos. I wasn't that kind of person. I never like sat down and rarely did I eat a whole box of cookies. I had to be pretty hormonal for that to happen. I was not a regular binger, or even like, did I truly binge at all? But now that I know that they have those harmful ingredients, probably never going to eat an Oreo consistently ever again. I'm never going to say never ever, because I probably have like 1 or 2 like in the future. Sure. Like 1 or 2 a year, something like that. But I'll make my own cookies. I'll learn how to make my own Oreo.
You wanna go for bite 3? Maybe you're on cookie number 2. I always, for some reason, eat Oreos in 3 bites. Ready? Cookie number 1 is done. How do you feel? How did it taste? Was it what you were craving? You still want more, because the craving is still there. Let's go for cookie number 2. The best looking one. Always gotta pick the best looking one. Let's take our bite. Uh-oh. Same questions still apply. How does it taste? What's going on in your head? And really pay attention to the level of the craving, right? When you first eat, the craving level is so high, but now maybe it's a little lower. Maybe it's still as high. Who knows? Let's go bite number 2, cookie number 2. How did that taste? How's the craving level? There is no right number to have right now. I want you to think about that. There's no right number to have. And let's take another bite together. I want you to go back and do it from cookie 1 and start over. Continue to do it as many times as you need for the craving to go away. And remember that you can have this whenever. You can have it in the next 5 minutes. You can do this. I promise. You're gonna be okay.
Yeah, she says that you're gonna be okay, but I literally know people who, if you tell them it's okay, they will eat the entire box of Oreos. Then they will go out, buy another box, and eat another box of Oreos. And so there's some danger with the way that she's encouraging people to do this. Now, let's say I want a cookie. You know how I make a cookie? It's flour, butter, brown sugar, white sugar, a little bit of cinnamon, vanilla extract, chocolate chips. What other thing could I put into? Ooh, you know what makes chocolate chip cookies really good? Just a little bit of almond oil. Yeah, really flavors them up. And then I'm gonna bake it in the oven around like 375, 365. Just depends how chill the dough is when I put it in. And then I'm gonna eat those cookies, probably with a glass of milk. And you know what the best part about them is? I can use organic sugar. It's less processed. I can use European heirloom and a very significantly less processed wheat. Doesn't have soy, doesn't have high fructose corn syrup in it, doesn't have seed oil in it. Significantly healthier option that would fit into my diet. Like, as long as it fits into my calorie limit, it's fine. And sometimes I do maintenance days. Some days I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like dieting today. I'm gonna eat extra calories. And that might end up being in a chocolate chip cookie that I made myself. And so I want you to keep that in mind. You can have cookies. You can have cake. You can have banana bread. I don't recommend you have a lot of it, but I recommend you make it yourself. So I feel like a better way of doing this intuitive eating thing would be to make the food that you're trying to eat intuitively. Understand what the ingredients are, where the ingredients come from, what it looks like as you're making it, how you feel putting the effort into making that food. Do you value it more, less because you made it yourself? I know all the food that I make, I value significantly more than the food I would buy at a grocery store because I made it. I put the effort into it. My time was important. And now I have this amazing, delicious chocolate chip cookie that is just fantastic, and I treasure it as I eat it. I know that sounds a little silly, but it does make a difference. You know, you have more responsibility towards what you're putting in your body. And so I can't get on board with what she's saying here. I understand it might be important for some people who have restrictive EDs, but I would still give them the same encouragement. I would say, you know what? How about you try making your cookies? Because I know some people who have restrictive EDs, and I know one thing that may still be concerned to them is healthy food. And so they might think, well, I can't eat a cookie, it's not healthy. Well, what if you make the cookie yourself? You can still have a healthy cookie, so to speak. Healthier than you would get with an Oreo. Make the exception there. Learn how to do that one there. Anyways, that's what I would recommend. I think that's a better solution. Take responsibility for your food. Okay, last thing is another video by this person. Let's check it out.
If you only ever feel hunger as pain, here's what hunger can feel like and how to get your signals back. This is the intuitive eating hunger and fullness scale. When you feel hunger as pain, it's usually one of these top 2 numbers, number 1 and number 2. However, when you eat at a 1 or 2, it's not usually enjoyable. You usually eat really fast through it because you're like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. And most of the time you overeat when you're that hungry. So here's what it feels like to be a 3 or a 4. A 3 or a 4 is like an ideal time to eat. However, it's not always gonna be like that, but here are the physical, mental, emotional signals that you can look for. Stomach growling noises, sometimes lightheadedness, difficulty concentrating on whatever it is that you're working on, a little bit of irritability, think like hangry. You might get a headache. Now, you might not get those signals if you've been ignoring your hunger signals for a long time, or if you've been dieting for a really long extended period of time. or your life is just really busy and chaotic and you tend to miss eating.
Yeah, so I want to address this. This is what I was talking about, being significantly hungry. When I was going through those phases of like where I felt like I was starving, but I was eating a lot, I was painfully hungry. But I also wasn't dieting. I also wasn't significantly busy or significantly stressed out. I had a hormonal disease that nobody was addressing. So I was severely hungry. And that being untreated for over a decade led to messed up hunger signals. So this might be good for somebody who's, like I said, healthy weight, average size, like healthy eating, and they're struggling with wanting to maintain that healthy eating. Sure. It's not going to work for someone like me. I had to do it in my own way. It wasn't eating whenever, etc. It was eating the right foods. That's what it is. It's eating the right foods.
The most important thing you can do to get your hunger signals back is make sure that you eat consistently. So go no more than 5 waking hours without eating. And start to listen for your hunger cues. And when you feel them, that's a signal to eat.
I really don't go 5 hours without eating. I do eat throughout the day. That is true. I pack so many snacks. I have a whole bag of sliced apples, and then I'll have an orange, and I'll have a banana, and then I'll have my protein for the lunch. And so at the work day, by 10 o'clock, I'm oh, I'm hungry, and I'll eat the apple. It's usually a huge Fuji apple, and I eat it, and I'm oh, okay, I feel good. And then 11:30, I'm oh, I'm hungry again. Have the Sumo orange. It's it's a little they call it a Sumo orange, and I'll eat that, and I'm oh, okay, I feel good. And then lunch rolls around, and I have my actual lunch, which is usually, like I said, a protein thing, and I eat that, and I'm great. And then end of the day, I'm exhausted, I'm tired. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but I'm not ready to eat dinner, and I'll eat a banana, right? And so I have that and I'm fine. And I'm sure there's some people out there be well, you're just eating lots of sugar and that's why you're hungry. I'm no, believe me, I could be eating anything and it does that. I'm just choosing to eat fruit because I also need energy to keep me going. And I've definitely done that where I've tried different meat and proteins to try to get me in those snack periods. Does not make a difference. I also like to do the fruit, not just for the energy, but because of the water content. I get dehydrated very easily. So to have that fruit broken down in my stomach and releasing water slowly really does help with me keeping hydrated throughout the day as well.
Even if it's too early, or not when you normally eat, or not when anyone else is eating. Everyone's hunger signals are unique to them and it ebbs and flows. So you're not always gonna match when everyone else is eating.
Yeah, sometimes I'll eat dinner at 4 o'clock in the evening. I don't care. I get up at 5 every morning. So I'll eat whenever I'm hungry. There are times too where, like I said, I've met my calorie limit and I'm well, I gotta eat, and I'll just eat a pound of watermelon. It's not that many calories. I might go over my calorie limit for today, but you know what? At least it's hydrating, right? At least it's gonna fill me up. I don't really care. I'm still trying to heal my hunger signals. I think I'm mostly there. I'm not hungry all the time anymore like I used to be. And like I said, I don't think I don't really experience these levels that she talked about with the 3 and the 4. Maybe now I do a little bit, but man, it used to be where I would just go straight to 1 and 2. I would be oh my God, I'm dying. I would wake up in the morning dying. I was so hungry. And I would have eaten 3,000 calories a day before. So I was definitely eating enough. But I was just so hungry always. And now I can wake up and eat a bagel and some coffee and I feel fine. Get to 10 o'clock, eat my apple. Get to 11 o'clock, eat my orange. Have my lunch at noon. Eat another snack at 2. And then come home and eat dinner. And I'm good. I'm good to go. Anyways, that was our reaction to fat acceptance TikTok and the myth of intuitive eating. I am still not convinced. Like I said, I think there are definitely exceptions to this rule. I don't think it works for obese people. I'd be really careful about practicing this until you get to a point where you feel like your hunger signals have actually healed. Anyways, that's all for right now. You have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later.